Well, hello everyone, we're continuing our in-depth look at departments, of course, that make Crowley's on the football club tick. And it's into that workstation of the recruitment team where we are for the latest one. It's setting up that brings together, of course, the experienced trio of John Dillon, Glyn Chamberlain and our man Josh Kennard. First of all, welcome along, nice to have a little chat with you, Josh, and tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us how you've got into football and where you've been.
Well, I started relatively long time ago now. I worked for Barnet originally. Did that for one season as an analyst. Then I went to uni. During that time I worked for Smart Odds, which is, Matthew Benham's company, the Brentford owner. Then after that I went to work for Millwall. Did that for 4 years and eventually found a home there, I guess, if you like, in the recruitment department, which I thought this is the area I want to sort of concentrate on. Left Millwall to work for World in Motion, which is an agency that's got some pretty big England players and stuff like that. And then came up here to Crewe. So
you've done your homework and you've done your apprenticeship. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
What attracted you to Crewe? Why did you come from down the south up to here?
Well, when I was working for the agency, I always wanted to find an opportunity to get back into a club, but it had to be the right opportunity. Dave was actually a client of the agency, so I knew Dave a little bit, spoke to him about the role. I liked how he spoke about what the club was trying to do. I arranged to come up and meet him and sat down with him and Carl Hancock, and I saw that even though it's not something the club have had before, they were sort of open to new ideas, and that's sort of what I wanted to find, somewhere where I could, I guess, put my own stamp on things, because working in those different environments I kind of built up an idea of what recruitment should look like, and almost a slightly blank slate was quite appealing for that reason. So I think as long as there was a willingness from the club to be a bit more forward thinking, I think it seemed like a really good fit to me.
You've certainly gone into the hotbed of employment, haven't you, when you're in recruitment in football, because if anybody fails, the finger's pointed at the recruitment team. Yeah,
definitely. I know it comes with, I guess, unique pressures. I think you're going to have flops. You're going to have unsuccessful transfers, but all you can do is concentrate on the process is what you can control. If you keep evaluating and improving the process, the more information you have to make decisions, you're going to minimise the number of flops. That's how I would look at those, because they're inevitable in football, even at Man City, Liverpool.
That first window that actually you worked all the way through, because you were here in the summer, and then it obviously closed. It's now closed. How do you think it's gone for you and the other boys who work with you, John Dillon and Glyn Chamberlain? How do you think it's, if you're marking it out of 10, how do you feel?
Oh, to put a number on it's difficult. I'll try. I think it's difficult because, as I say, I believe in the process, and the process of scouting and getting as much data as you can on players, getting character references, finding about their family, stuff like that. That's what I think makes recruitment good. And because we were sort of thrown together quite close to the window, the process was sort of an abridged version. So we did have information on all the players we signed, but it wasn't as much as I would have necessarily liked it to be. So in that respect, I think future windows will be better than this one. But to completely flip that on its head, given that we were all new to each other, given that we had limited time, and given that the club needed a boost from where it was coming from, I don't think it could have gone any better, really. I think it was unbelievable. the players that we've signed have had instant impacts, which is, I mean, what you can hope for, really. So if I'm going to put a number on it, I'll say 8.
Brilliant. You work closely with Glyn and John. Do you find it's a good blend because you've all got different experiences?
Definitely. I think it's obvious what each of us bring. Like John has an unbelievable understanding of the game, and he's obviously working on opposition analysis as well, which I think's great for the club because he spots things that I mean most people wouldn't spot, and he spots them instantly. And Glyn's a great guy. Glyn's unbelievable. When I'd met Glyn once before I came here, but people I'd spoke to about Glyn, just no one has a bad word to say about him, which I think for someone who's been in the game as long as he has, especially in recruitment, which can be quite a hostile leg of the game, if you like, I think that's unbelievable in itself. Everyone respects Glyn, everyone respects his opinion on football, everyone knows Glyn, which is just a great set of attributes to bring to the department.
And when there might be a dark day as well, he's not bad for a bit of a laugh, is he?
No.
It's quite good and makes a good feeling around the place. So we're talking about your team there. So how do you identify the targets? How between you all do you get to those targets? You're not going to get them all, but how do you come up with them?
I think it's about tracking them all almost. So like I'll have like a database of all the players that are of interest, and they can come up through sort of one of 3 ways really. One being we identify them using data, which obviously is quite I've gone into quite a lot in my background, sort of like we'll get raw data from a provider and then identify what we want from the players, and create sort of a ranking system, identify players that way. Then I guess would be sort of an older school approach. So we've got scouts out watching games. We've also got scouts now watching games on video. So if anyone jumps out at them, if they see someone that they think could offer something, they'll flag them up and we'll put them on the database. And then the other way, it's a big part of the game. Some people don't like it, but agents are obviously always flagging up players. And if it's an agent you respect or you want to have a good relationship with, it's always worth having a look at their players.
Explain a little bit more to the viewers and people who are listening to us as well, of course, of what does it mean, this setup of transfer room? You've got that here. The football club's sort of gone into that side. So what does that do? How does that work?
Well, yeah, transfer room is one of the first things I guess I wanted us to sign up to. I guess probably the way I would describe it, sort of like a football social media. So, for example, we actually put it to use pretty quickly. For example, we they have like these conferences, and we actually met the manager of Wraith at one of these conferences, which is how Connor O'Riordan ended up on loan, which, I mean, it's been a good success so far, so that's a good advocate for it. But yeah, it's almost like a platform where you can just speak to clubs. I think 21 out of 24 clubs in our league have it or something like that. So it gives you access to clubs you wouldn't necessarily have had access to.
So as we're moving now into the winter months and that transfer window is shut, do you knock off?
No, not at all. In fact, I think since the window's closed, normally I guess in recruitment that would be a bit of a lull, but because, as I say, I really want to build a process that will develop and get better, it's been all about so far, it's about getting the right scouts in, getting the right analysts in, making sure they have the right templates to work to, and then building up our knowledge of players. Because I want to be in a situation where we're going into the window, maybe even a month before the window, we already know who we want. I don't want it to be a panic stations in the window, which may have been the case here in the past, and it certainly is the case at a lot of clubs. But I think we can be a lot better prepared than that.
So as you're working towards the next window, you're regularly finding about who might even be available, even 2 to 3 months away before it actually opens.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit speculative, but you can predict, like if there's a player who's on loan in League One but sort of been a bit part player, it doesn't hurt to ask the loan manager of his parent club or whatever now if they think they would maybe look at reevaluating that in January, and we could get a player who was considered a League One player in January.
And if the management team come to you and say, we want that player, that particular department, you work closely to that and do your best and try and try for him.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, because there's no point signing a player that you like and the manager's not going to play. I think what Alex and Belly and Kenny have been really good at is the clarity of the definition of the player, which helps massively. Because if they say for example, they want like an athletic fullback, and then you've found a little ball playing fullback, it's not going to work. But they have been really helpful in like setting out firstly the playing style, and then the positional requirements, which I think is huge for recruitment, because then everyone who's working with you, the scouts, everyone's on the same page, and you can drill down on your targets more easily.